Hey everyone, SunTide here. Hope you all are doing great. I have had a very hectic couple of months, but I am glad to be back and talking to you about the longsword and Qurio crafting, particularly in Title Update 2 of Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Now, I know that Title Update 3 is coming out in a couple of days, but two things. One, it's still not out yet, so I still have some time. And two, this video is mostly going to be about the principles behind making practical armor sets with Qurio crafting. These principles shouldn't change much from version to version, even if the particular armor pieces do. So yeah, basically, if you don't know yet, since Title Update 1, we've had this thing called Qurio crafting. We can spend essence to change our equipment's defense and resistance, but more importantly, we can use it to add slots or change skills on our armor. And more skills means more damage, which we really like here. Unfortunately, some of the really strong augments are really rare. Like in theory, I can tell you, hey, get attack boost to get crit boost on all of your armor, but practically, actually, you aren't going to get both of those skills on any piece of gear, even if it's theoretically possible, and you definitely aren't going to get that on all of your gear. So the interesting question becomes, what are the strongest augments that we can actually viably aim for if we want to make a real practical set that we're actually going to use? So luckily, all of the mechanics have already been data mined by data miner Detilnor, and later on, some months back, I simulated the probabilities of getting skills and slots on each piece of armor. Quick summary though is that the probability of getting a skill depends on the armor piece and the skill itself. So some skills are more or less common. Quick Sheath is more common than attack boost. And gear with a lower rarity, so gear we got earlier on in the game, like the Ingot Greaves, have better skills via Qurio armor augmenting than stuff we get later on, like the Silver Soul Greaves. So with some actual numbers, basically you can see that if we want to get Quick Sheath, on the Ingot Greaves, it's a 0.85% chance, which is alright. With Silver Soul Greaves, it's a 0.6% chance, which is still pretty decent, but not great. If we want attack boost on the Ingot Greaves, it's a 0.3% chance, which is pretty bad. If we want attack boost on the Silver Soul Greaves, it's a 0.07% chance, which is absolutely terrible. So basically, getting attack boost is going to be hard in most sets, and it's going to be hard to assume you'll get attack boost on anything. Practically what I want to try and do here is I want to make sure that every piece of armor I recommend, the chance of getting it is at least 0.5%. And I also want to minimize the amount of unique gear you need. Practically this means you should be able to actually get all of your armor augments in a reasonable time frame. For me, I got my armor fully augmented before I got my weapons fully augmented, before I hit AR 110. So yeah, I think this is a nice ballpark for something that you could practically actually make and use. Now if we do have this goal, as you can see here, your chance of getting attack boost is about 0.3%. We can't really explicitly aim to get attack boost as a specific skill in our gear. So rather than aim for particular skills, usually if we can, we're going to aim for more slots. Getting more slots is actually much more common than getting particular skills. As you can see here, for Ingot Greaves, we get more slots, we get 2 more slots, 2.3% of the time. For Silver Soul Greaves, 0.65% of the time. This is still higher than your chances of getting Quick Sheath, so this is very viable. And of course, if we get like an actual 2 slot opened up in our gear, that means we can put in any skill we want. We can put in attack boost or crit boost or weakness exploit, whichever one we want for our particular build. So yeah, if ever we can aim for slots and our gear benefits, it's really good to aim for slots. Unfortunately, not every piece of gear actually benefits from getting slots. Getting slots works in a very predictable and interesting way for all of our gear. So I first had this explained to me by a friend of mine, KJ Pang. He explained it to all of us in a group chat soon after the first title update. You can see on screen here KJ Pang's very useful diagram for how slots are added to Qurio crafted gear. So thank you very much for this explanation, Kieran. Anyway, so basically adding slots works in 2 steps to our armor. Basically, if we have any empty slots, we're going to take those empty slots and turn them to a 1 slot 1 by 1 from left to right. So a 200 and we add 1 slot to it, it becomes a 210. The 0 slot, the empty slot becomes a 1 slot. If we add 1 more slot, it becomes a 211. Now, once all of the empty slots become 1 slots, then from left to right, we're just going to make the leftmost one bigger and bigger and bigger. So if we start with a 2-1-1 slot, we're going to make that left one a 3-1-1, and then it'll become a 4-1-1. After that, because you can't get any higher than a 4 slot, it'll become a 4-2-1 and a 4-3-1 and a 4-4-1. Now, it practically only gets really, really good at that one I've highlighted in green, when we hit a 4-2-1, because once we get a gear with an extra 2 slot, that's when we can fit in our really good skills. That's when we can fit in our attack boost and whatever else. So if we ever have anything that opens up a 2 slot, if we get more slots, we go for that. This is made easiest if a gear starts off with all of 0 slots, 4 slots, or 1 slots. The particular best winners include the Flaming Espinas Heel or the Sinister Grudge Guard. So these start off with 4-1-0. With an extra slot, it becomes a 4-1-1. And the second extra slot makes it a 4-2-1. So we get a free 2 slot for nothing. Other stuff, for example, the Kaiser Helm with 1-1-1. If you get an extra slot, it becomes a 2-1-1, free 2 slot. So if you can get a free 2 slot, try and get it. That's better than getting any particular skill. But yeah, so practically this means that if we are making new gear, we either want to use good gear that's also a low rarity, like the Barrier Fan Braces, because then we can just put on like really good skills onto it. Or alternatively, we want already good gear again that benefits a lot from getting extra slots, like the Flaming Espinas Heel, like I said earlier, turning from a 4-1-0 to a 4-2-1. But yeah, so with that in mind, I try to make all of my sets. I try to make the amount of pieces relatively common between all the sets, just to minimize the amount of grinding and re-rollings you have to do. And practically this means we get 9 armor pieces that I'm going to strongly recommend and that I've practically been able to achieve within this time period. So yeah, here I'm going to show up to 2 for each gear slot. The top one's going to be still for raw focus builds and the bottom one for elemental focus builds. But yeah, so basically for the helm, we want to use the Lunagaran helm or the Kaiser helm. So the Lunagaran helm can get quick sheath pretty easily. So I have a quick sheath Lunagaran helm or a Kaiser helm with extra slots. Now, +1 slot is good enough. +2 slot is still achievable. If you're really lucky like me, you can get +1 slot and quick sheath at about, I think, a 1 in 400 chance, which is quite low, but also not prohibitively low. And it's a free skill if you can get it. It's somewhat practical, but it's hard to achieve, so I can't really recommend this. For our chest pieces, we want to use the Sinister Grudge Garb with +2 slots. So the Sinister Grudge Garb, once it gets 2 slots, goes from, I believe it is a 4-1-0 to a 4-2-1, free 2 slot. The Silver Soul Mail also gets an extra 2 slot, so that is down. So the Silver Soul Mail, so it goes from a 4-3-1 to a 4-4-2, lots of slots. This one lost fire attack, but that was fine for me, but obviously it's better if you don't lose your skills. For the arm pieces, for our poison ones, we want to use our Risen Mizua sleeves, and it's great build-up boost. We want it with plus quick sheath if we can. And for our more elemental builds, we want to use our Barrett Van Braces. Here we have some freedom as to what skill we actually want. So we can pick one of Burst, Crit Boost, Crit Eye, or Radius Exploit. I have one with Radius Exploit, one with Crit Eye. Just one is fine. The chance of getting at least one of those skills is 1.35%, so aim for that if you can. For our waist, we're going to recommend 2 different Sinister Grudge Tacits, one with Quick Sheath, one with Wyvern Spur, and one with Quick Sheath. I don't have one with Quick Sheath, I have one with Burst, which is rarer and better, but yeah, Quick Sheath is more common and quite accessible. And finally, we want Flaming Espinas Heels with +2 slots. I think this one is the one that goes from 4-1-0 to 4-2-1, so we can get a free 2 slot to slot in anything else. So yeah, with these 9 armor pieces, we can make really, really good builds. Just as a side note, and while I'm here in this training room, so the Flaming Espinas Heel actually benefits a lot from new slots, and actually becomes the best in-slot, best foot piece for a longsword now. And also, for free, gets this really cool skill called Intrepid Heart. If you don't know about it yet, basically, as you can see on the top left of the screen, just above my health bar and below my name, you can see this gray bar. As I attack, it slowly fills up to become blue. When the gauge is full, I completely ignore knockback. So right now you can see if I place this bomb and I explode it, I get sent flying away. But if the gauge is full, then I become completely immune to the explosion. And this is really, really good for the longsword for 2 reasons. One, the longsword charges it really, really quickly with Sakura Slash. So as you can see, I can charge it within like, I think 2 to 3 full Sakura Slashes, so I'm already full. Then I can place my bomb on the ground, explode it, and I'm going to be perfectly fine. The other reason it's good is if you use a soaring kick playstyle alternatively. I assume it's a very common situation that happens to everyone else. A monster is down, you soaring kick it as it's coming up, and then it's enraged, so it roars, and it roars you out of your Tone Breaker. Happens all the time. Luckily, this means that because you're attacking it while it's down, you're going to fill up the gauge, and if the gauge is full, you're going to be immune to that roar. You're immune to all knockback. So it makes that really annoying situation that much less likely. And also it's great for defense. Lets you... Ooh, he's asleep. No, I'm not. I'm going to resist. I'm going to resist attacking him. He's also awake now anyway. But yeah, so basically this also is great for survivability. A lot of monsters have like one really big attack that might one-shot you. With Intrepid Heart, that attack is less likely to one-shot you. So it's great for defense. Unfortunately, it can kill you sometimes. So if there are a few times that, for example, I think it's Great Baggy, the one that puts you to sleep. He has this combo where he puts you to sleep and attacks you. Because if you have Intrepid Heart up, you aren't going to be woken up. So you're going to be attacked twice and you're going to die. So Intrepid Heart can kill you, but it's worth it compared to all the times that it will save you. So Intrepid Heart is a really nice free skill we get thanks to Qurio crafting, and also increases our damage with the other stuff gives us. So yeah, Intrepid Heart, great skill, go for it. Anyway, yes, with that being said, here are the practical, here are the actual builds, the practical builds that I recommend. So there are 2 sets, 2 types. We've got the Poison Journal resets. So this is the Wyvern Blade Luna that is really, really raw focused. As you can see, we have the Luna Garen Helm, Sinister Grudge Garb, Risen Mizuha Sleeves, Sinister Grudge Tassets, and the Flaming Espinas Heel. All of those Curio slots end up going to Quick Sheath, which lets us get Quick Sheath 3, and we use our 2 free slots to fit in really, really good skills. The Kaktus Himmel, the Fire Poison set is very, very similar. It just changed the Sinister Grudge guards with the Silver Soul Mail that's also used in the Elemental builds. So yeah, very, very similar. Gets 2 protective polish because Kaktus Himmel has some native purple, so it extends it out, makes it much more comfortable, makes it last longer. Now, outside of the raw, we have our elemental ones. We have 5 elemental sets this time. So previously I didn't recommend any pure fire elemental ones, but because of the higher power level of Qurio crafting, pure fire elemental longsword actually becomes viable again against some monsters. So that is the Volcanic Apocalypse build here, as you can see, and this is quite representative for a lot of builds. Basically, we have the Kaiser Crown X, the Silver Soul Mail, the Barrath Fan Braces, the Sinister Grudge Tassets, and again the Flaming Espinas Heel. And yes, basically we're going to use all the rest slots. We have max crit eye, we have high attack boost, we have max elemental attack, we have max burst, crit boost, quick sheath, all of the important skills. I've highlighted burst here as a Curio skill. Of course, if you are that's from Barrath Fan Braces, if you Barrath Fan Braces Curio augmented for something else, like crit boost, crit eye, or base exploit, just change out those decorations, just swap the decoration for the burst decoration. But yeah, so that's the fire one. The water one is basically exactly the same, except it's water elemental and different weapon slots. The thunder one is slightly different. The Oppressor's Abyss has a tiny bit of native purple, which means a tiny bit of protected polish is actually quite appreciated by the weapon, but otherwise it's going to be the same thing. The ice one is very similar to fire and water. As you can see here, very, very similar. Pause the video if you need it. The last one's a bit weird. So the last one is the Red Flash. Now for pre-Qurio, I often recommended Screech Scythe. Screech Scythe and Red Flash are very, very interchangeable. The main differences is that Screech Scythe gets 1 extra 2 slot, but the Red Flash 1 looks cooler, 2 has higher sharpness, and 3 has slightly higher element. So they both have wide sharpness. The red flash has 140 sharpness, the street scythe has 70. 70 is already very, very good. With 70, you're going to have an opening before you need sharpen. An opening as in like the monster is going to be asleep, or the monster is going to be vulnerable to a Wyvern ride, or the monster is going to move. With the red flash with 140 sharpness, it's so much ridiculously higher, you don't even need to sharpen on those openings. Like, the monster is going to go to sleep and you can just not bother sharpening. As such, for the red flash, I don't require speed sharpening because the sharpening is so infrequent. But yeah, this is the recommended red flash build. But yeah, so that's basically it for this video. In short, I've optimized sets for relatively accessible Qurio augmented armor pieces, each one having at least a 0.5% chance of getting it. And these sets prefer gear that benefit a lot from a 2-slot augment or are lower rarity. Luckily, this also ends up opening Intrepid Heart, which is a great defensive skill for the longsword. And yeah, I think that's it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Like and subscribe and all of those cool things. Sincerely, I'd like to thank all of you for your support and everything like that. I will continue to make stuff for Title Update 3, for Lance as well. And yeah, I hope to see you all next time. Bye.